Hello there. Hello, Local SEO Consulting. Local SEO Consultation, Local SEO Consulting. Multiple questions, Local SEO Consulting. I think that we're live. Local SEO Consulting. That's going to be the topic today. Local Search Engine Optimization Consultation live. All right. So, Local SEO Consulting in 2021. Hello there, my name is Chris Palmer, and in this video, I'm going to walk through multiple questions that were asked of me from my group consulting session. Now, I want to walk through these because I feel that not only will this be helpful to the client, but it will also be very helpful for you. So, of course, I don't want to waste any time. I will go through these in depth to a degree just to make sure that the answer is going to be helpful to you and also the client. So let's not waste time. Let's get into it. And we're going to start with question number 1. Now, I believe that there are 10 questions here. Nope, there's 16 questions. So that's exactly what we're going to walk through now. Okay. Whoops, sorry about that. So number 1 is, what is the difference between submitting to data aggregators versus outsourcing citation building? Aggregators solidify the directory, validations, info group, Axiom, and Yext. Okay, excellent question. All right, so question number 1 is aggregators and citations. So let's go ahead and head over here. So list of business citations. All right, so citations are digital references that are going to contain your name, address, and phone number. All right, now these could be done at a plethora of different places, including places like Yelp and Google My Business is even a citation, Bing Places, MapQuest, Monta, Foursquare, Apple Maps, right? The list goes on and on. Plus, there's niche-specific directories and citations. These are digital references, yet again, that contain my name, address, and my phone number, aka my NAP, my NAP, all right? Now, an aggregator is something that's going to validate. This is going to help spread this business information. Let me go ahead and show you a brief diagram. So if we go to Moz Data Aggregator. Okay, I probably spelled that wrong, but that's fine. I'll be able to get my point. And one of the big top ones is going to be Info Group. So there's Info Group, there's Axiom, and you can take a look at this. It's US Local Search Ecosystem by Moz. And what this is going to do is this is going to be a distribution hub. This is going to validate that information. All right, so citation is the beginning source. This is going to be the digital references. Then we have our aggregators, all right? And this is going to help solidify. Now, another helpful tip is when we have our local business, all right? Let's say we started at 123 West Broad Street, and then, 2 years later, we have the same site, same Google My Business, but now we have a new address. So one of the things that's going to be done is we're going to create other citations. If we can't go back and change out the same ones, which you should keep track of your emails and passwords so you're able to log in. But if you cannot, the best thing to do is go ahead and rebuild these, especially the top citation sources, along with change the details on Apple, Bing, and Google My Business. Obviously updated on your website, and then last but not least, submit to that data aggregator. This way we can solidify and validate that new information. All right, so that's going to take care of that particular question. Now, let's keep moving on. I don't want to fumble around too much, so let's go to the next question on the list. I need a drink. All right, number 2. So both need to be done at the start of a campaign and if I ever change locations, correct? So again, I answered number 2 with part 1. Do they both need to be done at the beginning of a campaign? Absolutely. There are service providers out there, like you mentioned right up here, called Yext. I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying they do offer that. They take care of cleanup. They take care of citations. Probably if you're looking for a done-for-you solution, they are out there. Just be mindful. You can create these things yourself. You can submit yourself. And I hope that that helps you, but it should most certainly be done at the beginning of a campaign, and then your niche specific, then other directories depending on, and state specific, county specific citations if you're in the United States. These need to be also done to internal pages, all right? So you might not do everything at all at once, but this is definitely a step that needs to be acquired or taken care of at the beginning of a campaign. So let's keep going on here. So number 3. All right, so number 3 is, should I only have other GMB listings for my other state location's main city? I think that that would be the most logical sense. Wouldn't that be the way too many GMBs is tried to create one for each city location inside of each state parent page? Okay, so let's come on out here, and we're going to go to Google Maps, all right? Now, let's just say, for instance, that we are in a particular location, all right? Let's just say Houston, TX, all right? Now, I want you to take a look at this. If you have the opportunity, if your business, all right, is, let's just say that our first verified and validated entity is going to be inside of Northeast Houston, which is right here on the map, okay? Now, do I feel if we can get other verified listings and we have the same information on our website on an internal page, should we also create locales, if we can, inside of places like Kashmir, Greater Fifth Ward, Northside Village, any place that there is a high density of population, a lot of people, and we have our median household income is high enough, if you can acquire and you actually do business in that particular area, it's going to be highly beneficial. A side note from that is, when we're looking at Google Maps, pick your niche, right? Let's just say, I don't know, SEO agency, all right? Let's do real estate broker, all right? Now, unless your niche calls for it, all right, unless every single 3-pack is not showing an address like a broker, okay? But if we look at an agency, let's do SEO agency New York City, all right? The tip I want to give is this. If you're looking at your SERP and every single person in the 3-pack is showcasing their address, or vice versa, if they're not showing their address, you want to go with what Google is rewarding, all right? So when we're looking at addresses, if we're creating multiples, are we service area business or are we showing our address? You'll be putting yourself at a disadvantage if I look at the SERP, all right, and I see all addresses, all right? So that's just another added tip that I want to go ahead and give to you, all right? So that takes care of the locales. I showcase that. We want to get, especially in these big parts, like where it's laid out on the map larger than the other places, like North Side, Greater Heights. You see, these are typically going to be places we want to go ahead and get a validated property, but we want to back check median household income depending on our industry and also population, all right? So let's keep going on here. Now, number 4. I should likely only have a blog for those state location main city pages and have the surrounding city pages be simple lead gen landing pages like PQ, about contact team. Have a blog for each and just spin it little new locations. All right. I should likely only have a blog for those state locations main city pages. All right, so let's head over here. All right, so we're going to go right here. We're going to go to format the background. We're going to go white. So you're going to have your main page. All right. So let's just call this the home page. All right, is this snap to ink to shape? All right, so we have our home page, and then you're going to have your top level page. Okay, and this is going to be probably locations. All right, locations. Now, off of locations, you're probably going to have Florida, right? We're just saying, for instance. And then off of Florida, you're going to have, I don't know, Texas. And then we'll do one more just for sake of example. And then you're probably going to have, I don't know, California. Now, these are our top level pages, meaning this is our Florida. So we're going to have website.com/, Florida / location. Okay. Now, let's answer the rest of this question. Should we have blogs? Well, probably not, right? We're going to have a blog, but if we have a multi-tiered location website, all right, such as this, where we're going to have our Florida, we're going to have our Texas, our California, it's going to follow a structure much like this. We might want to have just built off of the Florida, we'll have our locations, yes, but built off of the locations, we might want to have, this is going to be more helpful, informational based content or mini silos or mini blogs, mini blog networks, little mini sites off of the locale. Why? To add relevance and add authority to a particular silo. So if I have my website.com /Florida / all my locations, cities or towns or whatever you're going to do, it might be helpful off of there to create yet another silo or maybe perhaps a floating silo based off of the Florida so I can go deep. So now I can answer informational queries. Let's say we're a plumber. We're going to talk about tools. We're going to talk about secondary services. Maybe have other types of landing pages that are informational query based. But of course, on top of that, once we create this, to answer the second part of the question, is just like our informational based content, like say we have Florida and then we do location, it's pretty much duplicated over and over, other than we're going to be changing out our geo modifiers. The same goes for our blog content. There's no difference between a location page, which has geo modifiers and some slight variants, and a blog page that has geo modifiers and slight variants. Let me go ahead and give you a quick example of what I mean by this. So if you come out here, we're going to just look for Thrive. I've shown this before. I don't know who they are. I'm just using it as an example, okay? So Thrive Marketing, okay? I just like their structure. They lay things out really well, in my opinion. If you're looking for a layout plan, I love how they do it. It's clean. They follow my process. So I really like it. So if we take a look here, we have our most prominent services up at the top. We're going to go ahead and list them. And then if you take a look down here, we have our locations. Now, each of these pages, here's the Kansas page, okay? Now let's just for fun, we're going to go to Thrive Agency, okay? So here's the Kansas page. And then if we come over here, let's just pick another page. Let's go to Atlanta. All right, take a look at the page. Here's Atlanta Digital Marketing, Kansas City Digital Marketing, okay? It's the same page. Look at web design. See what I'm saying? Web design. The only thing that has changed is slight modifications to the text along with geo modifiers. This is what I mean by changing the text slightly and geo modifying the content, all right? It's absolutely, go check their rankings. It absolutely is effective. You're not competing with yourself. There's not a concern for keyword cannibalization. Why? Because we have geo-modified the content. It's different SERPs. It's completely different. Now, if you're building out secondary mini nets or mini sites, then you could start competing with yourself because recently, as you know, Google only wants to showcase one website inside of a search result. So you might need to create multiple sites. And if you're following this type of strategy on multiple sites, then you'll start running into cannibalization. You'll start running into, basically creating competition for yourself. So stick to the script. If you're looking for a layout, you can utilize this. I love this. Orchid does it very well. On top of that, Orchid is like a pest control people. Take a look at their structure. And look at their structure. They'll build these long parameter filled URLs. They keep keywords all the way just like people are searching. They do it well, and I utilize this as a recommendation. All right, for as far as page structure and page layout, I like what they're doing. All right, so let's keep going here. I have to get a drink. I'm so sorry. I'm parched. I didn't bring any water in here. I drank it all. I've been working all night. I have to get a drink. All right, moving on to the next question. I'm hoping that I answered that fully for you. If you have any questions, put them in comments. I will get to them. I have no problem with that. I'd love to help you. All right, so moving on to question number 5. So, should I hide? And I answered these within, but they want this client asked me to put it in video again. So I did answer them once, and he put in his answers, but he wanted it in video, so I said no problem. So number 5, should I hide the address to my city locations? Since I'm not making GMBs for those, it shouldn't really matter. I'll just have the local site page. So again, let's talk about that. I'll touch on that briefly. Now I'm not gonna disclose your niche, but if you're looking at a particular SERP, each SERP is different. All right. If I'm looking at a SERP and everybody in the search term, like if I'm, let's say it's digital marketing and it's in Los Angeles, all right? If I'm looking at a SERP and all of the top competitors are showing an address, show an address, an address, an address. If I'm seeing per SERP, each location, if I see a SERP that's not showing their locales, like if you search for plumber, right? A lot of them aren't showing their addresses, but in some SERPs that I've worked in, all of the competition has it. If I'm seeing that inside of a SERP for a particular query that I'm after, irrelevant if it one I do and this other one I don't, it's on a per location basis. Whatever the SERP is calling for, whatever the SERP norm is, that's exactly what I'm going to follow. All right. So I would do it on a location basis. I would be very mindful of what the competitors are doing, and I would just fall in line, match, mirror, so we can then beat. All right. So let's keep moving on. So number 8, so send, okay. All right, should I have the address, city, locations? Okay, so for my specific GMBs, is it smart to create them for city nearby? For my state-specific GMBs, would it be smart to create them for a city nearby, one of the major cities in the state? So it's not competitive as trying to rank in the major city. All right, so if you're able, it takes the same amount of work, all right, for me to put up a listing, optimize my website, create citations, build out press releases, run traffic campaigns, set up Facebook ads and tracking, and you're going to go through the same exact process. So, in my humble opinion, if I'm a competitor, I'm a competitor. If I'm going to compete, I'm going to compete. I'm not going to set up and spend my time, my resource, and my money and my time trying to rank for something just slightly outside, so it's just a tad bit slightly less competitive. Even the outliers from a major city, if we're talking about a 5-mile radius from the main city, there's still going to be lots of competition depending on the city, all right? So if you're going to go for it, I would go for it. I wouldn't waste any time. It's going to take the same amount of work, same amount of effort, maybe just a little bit more, but the payoff will be so much greater, all right? So I would really base it off of who's nearby. What's the competition nearby? Also, when I'm searching, if I'm looking up competitors, how far from their main location are they getting ranked? All right? Because if I'm looking and there's no competition, all right, here, let me show you this. So if we come in here, all right, so let's go to Google Maps. We'll come over here to Maps. And let's just say you're a plumber, all right? Plumber in New York City, okay? So if these are all the plumbers in New York City, all right? And we can see that this is all the competition, okay? What I would be very mindful of is if I see all these guys are right here, all right? But it's still within, say, a 10-mile radius, which I'm sure this probably isn't. You might want to get one over in this vicinity, all right? Try to be mindful away from the other pins. Also, if I'm able to have an extension or my VPN or whatever the case is that you're using, I want to search from that particular area. If you want to find out the definitive answer of how authoritative someone else's GMB property is, then we need to start figuring out how far are they ranking out, all right? Once we can figure that out, we'll know who our leading top competitor is, and then we'll know, hey, we want to get outside of his realm as long as it's not 10 miles out, okay? I hope that makes sense to you. Whoever the strongest is, figure how big their reach is and just go slightly outside of that. All right, that way I can dominate the new area. And also, how far of a reach are they? Is he getting the full 10 miles? Is he only getting 5 miles? Is he only getting 6 miles? Wherever their verified pin is, however big they are, green, if we're looking at, say, a Persuaded map or a local Viking map, how many miles out are they getting and how far is it green? This is going to tell us the true authority of that particular listing, okay? I don't care if they're all green in their very select area. How far out are they ranking? If I'm seeing prominence very, very far, 15 miles or more, or 10 miles or more, that's an authoritative GMB, all right? So be mindful of that. Let's keep moving on. All right. Now, the next is... All right, number 6. For my state-specific GMBs, would it be smart to create for a city nearby, one of the major cities, so it's not as competitive? So we talked about that. All right, could you clarify the first and second waves of citations for Tier 1 and Tier 2 properties? Okay, so let's talk about that. All right. So when we first set up our main entity, okay, this is our home page, and you're going to have let's see what's going on here. Is everything running okay here? All right, are we all good? All right. Hi, Kelly from Melbourne. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Cezanne. Hey, Chorus. Victor, how are you? Been here for less than a minute and learned something new. Excellent, Jack. Hey, if you liked the video so far, a thumbs up would be super beneficial so other people can find it, all right? Especially this one I messed up. I shouldn't have made it so short. So the only way anybody's ever going to benefit from this is a thumb, because I highly doubt this is going to rank very well, because it's way too short. I wanted to add, I don't even know why I made it so short. All right, so if we have our main locations, all right, let's do it this way. All right, so let's say this is Florida, okay, same thing again. Let's say this is New York, and this is California, all right? These are our placeholders. Then it's going to be /, this is going to be a location, all right? Now, where are we sending our citations, and what's the difference? Where should I send them? How many should I build, and what's the layout, all right? And here's what I mean. So here, let's do it this way. Let's clear this. Let's put it here. So it's going to be website.com, all right? And then you're going to have website.com / I don't know, New York / and then you'll have your location number 1, okay? Now, your first initial batch, all right? So let's do this. So this is the main website. All right, and then this is the internal page. All right, so this is the second page. All right, and you probably have more than one location. So when I first send in my first initial batch, my first press release, all my citations, the top 6 are going to be Bing, Yelp, Foursquare, MapQuest, Apple Maps, Yelp. All right, there's probably a couple other ones too, but your top for your niche. So when you're searching for your competitors, when you're searching for your primary keywords, what citations are showing up for those particular keywords? What citations? These are our top citation sources for this niche. Now, wherever my main locale is, those citations, that press release, those links, we're talking about citations specifically, those top 6 places for the main verified entity, those go to my website. This goes to the main home page. Now, when I go into a new location, all right, let's say I have a New York location, all right, if I have a verified property, not an unverified, but if I have a verified property, when you send your second wave, you send them to the top level page. Let's say I have a verified property now in New York. It could be in a city somewhere, it could be wherever. Not to the locations themselves. Send it to the top level page. Google ranks pages, not entire sites. So remember, if I have a new location, I have my New York, my main state page. I could have Brooklyn, I could have Manhattan, I could have upstate, I could, whatever the case is. Send your second waves of citations to this particular part of the URL. Don't worry about this. So it's going to be website.com/New York. Now you could create for your new state pages a subdomain, but then you're going to be doing, maybe if you have a big budget and you want to hide links, then a subdomain would be good. But for a lot of people, for a majority of people, the subfolder is just a better option. So what you want to do is this. Let's break this down. So you're going to have your main citations, press release, links going to the main URL, website.com. You're going to have your second wave of citations going into the state page, all right? So the difference is going to be the URL. The URL is going to be varied. It's going to be website.com/the location. So the URL is different. Remember when you're filling out your citations, you're going to also have to include a tag or multiple tags, usually 2 or 3. So a slight variance of tags. All right, so a slight variance of tags are different. The next element or the next piece is the description. All right, so the description is going to be slightly varied from the main description that you were utilizing for your first wave of citations going into the home page. And then last but not least, of course, you're going to have a different NAP, because if this is a new location, ideally, if I'm getting a new verified listing in a new location, I'm going to put the location inside of my business name on Google My Business. So that's my name. The address is going to be different because obviously it's in a new state. And last but not least, the phone number is going to be different, but forwarding it in. This way we're able to create more prominence. It's like a brand new business in a new location. I have a new name, a new address, a new phone number. I'm going to follow the same exact process that I just did for the main website. Why wouldn't I? That same strength that I need on that page is the same exact strength I need on my internal pages when I go to target new locations. All right? So I hope that clarifies that. I hope that makes sense for you. Let's go ahead and move on. So here's the next piece. The next piece is going to be, all right, so we talked about that. Main 6 citations, we talked about that. All right, secondary citations to state parent pages, yes. We talked about the top 6. So top 6 is Yelp, Bing, Apple, Foursquare, Bing Places, Apple, Yelp, MapQuest, Monta, and that's about it. I think that's the 6. All right, so we talked about all that. We talked about where to send them. Spinning the descriptions, we talked about all that. Send secondary citations first wave to drive stack once location. Okay, it's not sending them. Let's talk about that now. So the drive stack. So we are on number 10, all right? So, so you've gone ahead and you've created, okay? You've gone ahead and you've created your website. So we have our website, all right? This is our home page, all right? And then we've built out our location page. So this is our Florida, okay? And then just for sake of example, let's say this is the New York page. All right, and underneath that we have our city 1, city 2, okay? City 1, city 2. All right, let's just say hypothetically. Now, in a perfect world, you must, at least at the foundational level, you're going to have at least one drive stack, if not for each location, at least one for the overall. Now, inside of your drive stack, it's going to have multiple different folders. So you'll have your main folder that's going to contain your sheets, it'll contain your docs, it'll contain your slides, and the list goes on and on. Now, as I teach it, you're going to be creating what I call a master list. This master list is going to contain all of these folders and files that are made up of sheets and docs and slides and forms and all of these, the KMZ file, the My Maps, everything in all of the URLs are created and distributed and put onto what I call a master list, which is actually on a Sheets document. Okay. Now, as I'm creating this master list, the reason is I want to go back and add that master list, all those URLs, to each of these properties. Why would I do this? So I can create an internal linking structure to everything without having to think about it. Everything is internally linked, especially within the docs. Now, what I mean by sending the links or the citations is when I get my links created, my citations created. Let's say I get 500 of them made. They're going to be stacked up all of the URLs. So just like I have my list on here, I want to take all of these URLs, also the URLs from my press release, maybe even some of the dirtier PBNs or some of the other sites that I have. I want to add those into my drive stack. Why? To add relevance, also add to internal linking, and build links to all of these properties. On top of that, when I'm sending links into the stack, I want to be able to power up everything. It's like a linking hub. So the long story short of it is we want to be able to curate and create our lists of citations and press releases and add it into our linking hub, aka the drive stack. All right, so that's what I mean. That's what I hope that makes sense to you. And let's move on to the next question. So number 11. All right, using Persuaded GeoGrid. Do I want my verified listing to be at the center of the grid and then have my pin listing optimized to rank covering the entire area of the grid depending on the amount of pins in the grid? Reach out to Todd and ask. Okay, so as far as anything with the tool, obviously message Zach, all right? On top of that, what we want is we want to be green, or we want to have a high rank, at least 1, 2, or 3 inside of the total circumference of that GeoGrid. All right, if you're unaware of what I'm talking about, Persuaded.io maps tool is a tool that I went and I showcased the other day. And what I mean by you want to have the GeoGrid green or you want the whole circumference. If you take a look at this photo here, all right, I think that this is probably California or whatnot. Here, let's zoom out so we can see it. So this is a GeoGrid. Let's say that my business is right here. We want this entire GeoGrid to be green. Why? Because this is going to showcase that this entire circumference, no matter where I am proximity based, I'm showing up in the top 3 or the 3-pack, the snack pack, however you want to look at it. I have local prominence and I'm dominating this particular area. So to answer your question, we want it all to be green. It could be either 1, 2, or 3. And on top of that, for any other questions or technical questions, feel free to go ahead and message Zach from Persuaded.io. He's got a good tool. I know that he's going to be working on it, and I feel that he is way more budget friendly, and that's one of the reasons why I like his tool. Let's go ahead and move on to the next questions. All right, so number 12. for my tier 2 properties, should I build out a buffer site that's similar to my local site like I would with a G site? If so, should I spin all the content differently from my main site, from the G site and buffer sites? Should I create multiple G sites? Just G sites are good because they're tier 1, and buffer sites use epic traffic bots. So that's definitely something, and let me go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit. All right. So when we have our main property or our homepage, all right, there's going to be a lot of links that we go out and create. But mostly it's going to be and contain my social profiles, social links, right? Facebooks and YouTubes and Twitters. I'm going to create 10 to 20 Web 2.0s based on brand, okay? I'm also going to create a press release, and then on top of that I want at least 1 to 2 very powerful VP guest posts or blogs. This right here, this entire section, all of this is my tier 1. All right, so anything that I put inside of here is what I'm showcasing to the world. I'm showing to Google. I want this to be my strongest, the best. This is your tier 1 properties. All right. Now, as far as this particular section, which is what you're talking about, this could be made up of anything that you can control. I would highly recommend basing Web 2s that are pointing directly in based on brand. I'd make sure that they're high authoritative, mostly focus on UR or PA. We need high PAs, high URs, you know, and if they're not, increase the number. And then on top of that, if a particular site is not getting traffic, then it's completely useless. So I did recommend utilizing some type of dirty traffic. You could use Epic, but use some type of bot, something that's running in the cloud, something that's cheap, something that you can just get some traffic on, get some clicks, get some activity, even if they're only just hopping around to each other, all right? You know, we need activity on these blogs or the links are almost like nothing. All right, so I hope that helps you out. On top of that, I love WordPress. I like Google sites. I like AWS. I like Yahoo business sites. There's a plethora out there, but just be very mindful of the UR rating or whatever metric you want to look at. The trust flow, but UR or page authority from Moz, this is the metric we're looking at, not the overall domain authority. If I'm seeing a low UR rating or a low PA rating, we need to get links to that page, especially if they're linking over to my homepage. Make sure that homepage is also prominent to the keyword and or brand, preferably. All right, so make sure it's super brand related, make sure it's a branded anchor, make sure that it's high PA, and make sure that I'm getting some traffic onto those blogs. This is going to be my big buffer layer. All right, this is if we're on the budget and we can't go out and buy websites. Okay, hopefully that helps you. Let's keep going. All right, number 13. Are niche edits only for tier 2 properties, and are they the most potent type of backlink compared to guest posts? The most powerful backlinks is from nearby businesses and niche pointing to the homepage. So that's, I absolutely mentioned that. So anything that is relevant, all right, anything that has traffic, that is relevant, and more importantly, if we're looking for the most potent, it's going to be a local neighboring business. Like if I'm on Google Maps, okay, and let's say I'm this plumber, and I click on this, and let's say that this is my business, and I click on nearby. When you look through not just these nearby, but any of these businesses that are nearby, Google knows if you can get links from anything that's nearby, that's a potent link. Even if it's not niche specific, those are potent links. You know, from the comments, from your state representative's office, from anything that's localized is going to be the top de la creme for local businesses. The next tier is going to be anything that the topic of the whole site is about what my site's about. The next down from that is that page about what I'm talking about, and then next down after that is what's the anchor text coming in. Now, if I could get all of them, it's the anchor text is about the topic. It's containing my keyword. The page that anchor text is on is containing the keyword. And then on top of that, the whole entire site is about my topic and keyword. And then on top of that, it's in the local area that I'm in. That's the best link you could possibly get in the whole world. But usually we settle for just the anchor text or just the page, right? But ideally, we want all those pieces to add up. So the most potent is exactly what I just mentioned. But on top of that, niche edits, in my opinion, are generally links like SAPE or these types of links. All right, that's a true niche edit. I think that the misuse of the term comes from maybe link outreach, which is actually a link insert. That's considered a niche edit, where you're doing your manual outreach, or you're doing outreach and someone says, sure, I'll give you a guest post for $200. And you're like, no. How about $20 or $25? And I have the best post. Here's the link and here's the page that I want it on. That's a link insert, AKA a niche edit. All right. So they are very effective. They are very powerful. Why? Why is a niche edit or a link insert the most powerful? Because the page that we want our link on has age. On top of that, it has links going to it. And on top of that, there's traffic coming to it, right? So that would be very powerful. That would be very effective. It's very hard to get all of these things to line up. But you asked me what's the most powerful, and this niche edit's the most powerful. I answered that. I hope that helps you. Let's keep going down the list here. So 14... should I post new blog articles, small piece for my GMB posts first, and then from my local site, reverse, or just on my local website? Great question. So let's talk about this strategy. So I'm going to make a dedicated video on this because I shared this within my group consulting. I didn't make a public video on it, but I do feel it could help a lot of people, and it's something that I've been doing for quite some time. Now, the method or the technique is actually post mirroring, right? Much like I'll do for my services and my products, we'll do mirroring, and then I'll even stack them up and mirror them off of the top competitor, use the same terminology. But let's talk about post and page mirroring. So here's what I mean by that, all right? So if on my website, we're going to skip the website part, but let's say that I have my blog or my helpful tips section, all right? Now inside of here, okay, I create a blog post called, I don't know, 10 tips for roofers, okay? Now inside of this, I have my article. All right, so I have my hero image and I have some content here. And let's just say that I take a snippet of the content, which is here, and that snippet is about 75 words. Now, what I mean and what I would do is when you have your consistent and persistent posting schedule over on your Google My Business, you generally want to match and mirror. So inside of here, I'm going to have a link over to my GMB or have an embedded map going to my GMB, right, on this page, because it's a local website. Why wouldn't I? This is a helpful tips page. I have my title, which is 10 tips for roofers, on my GMB. So this is my GMB, okay? I create a post now on my GMB, right, called, let's go back, and my post is called Top 10 Tips for Roofers, okay? I then take my snippet and I put it over here, and the link on the page to learn more is going over to my informational piece of content, all right? So that's what I mean by mirroring and matching or post stacking. This is generally the mirror process that I want to do. I want to show relevance. I want to be talking about a lot of the same things. This also helps for my posting schedule, because if you're having a successful run at a competitor in a local market, you're probably consistently and persistently posting on your website, right? At least 3 times a week, at least 2 times a week. So I want to take these same tips, because remember, Google wants me to share relevant updates with my customers from the website. Go read the guidelines. And so no better way than to take the exact snippets, the same terminology, the same words, use the link to that page. It's prominent, it's relevant, it's helpful, and I hope that that helps you out. Let's keep going. All right, number 15. So when doing keyword research, like you showed in a recent video, comparing my top 10 competitors for the target keyword and exporting the list to Excel. That's correct. For the second tech, and please note, I was showing a manual method, but with whatever tool you're using, just to touch on that little tip here, like what you're asking here, regardless, if I showed the manual way to do that, but if you have SEMrush, which is what I use, or maybe Ahrefs, you know, they have a tool, on both of them have a tool. It's called gap analysis, keyword gap analysis. So what I showed in that video was the manual way, which is how I do it. I just like to do things the hard way. But they have tools that'll do this for you, all right? It's called gap analysis, keyword gap analysis, okay? Now, aside from that, let's keep going here. For the second technique, okay, second technique, out of position keywords. Okay, so would you wait to optimize keywords and average? So should we wait to optimize with pop to get the ranking initially? Right. Okay. So let me explain this technique that I was teaching inside of my group consulting class. All right. So I use Page Optimizer. I'm pretty open about that. So you're going to create and optimize a page. All right. So let's say you write your page out. All right. Now it's been popped. All right. Page Optimizer Pro, all right, or whatever tool you're using. And inside of that, when you go over to your GSC, all right, after the initial, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, let's say you hit page 2, what you're going to notice when you first publish content, at least in the first 30 days, you're going to see a new surge of keywords, especially if you've created multiple pieces of content. However, let's say it's just one. All right, you're going to see when you first post a piece of content, Google is going to test you for multiple keywords. Now, you could do this within your Google Search Console, and Google's going to list up to 1,000. Now, I'm sure you've been tracking and watching your keywords, especially on a page-by-page basis, especially if it's for a client, so you can show how good you're doing. But with that being said, on Google Search Console, okay, when you first get that initial rush, all right, say 14 days have passed, 17 days, 20 days, and you go back into your Search Console and you're seeing this new rush of keywords. What we're looking for is we're looking for keywords in Search Console that Google is trying us for that are not currently on the page. Now, why would we want to do this? This is like doing a double gap analysis with Google's keyword data, because if Google is showing impressions for keywords that aren't on our page, Google already thinks that our site's about that. So if I see that during the testing phase, take those keywords out and add them to the page. Even if you need to add a few more keywords or just a few more words to the page, that's perfectly fine. Don't go writing a whole new paragraph, but if I can add or just change slightly some different variations or add some other very relevant keywords that Google's already testing me for and they have volume, then definitely add them to the page. So I hope that technique makes sense to you, and let's go ahead and move on to the next. So number 16, and this will be the last one. So what is the best strategy to utilize? Okay, so we're not going to talk about that one, but because I think it's personal to his brand and business. So yeah. We're going to come over here and let's go and see if there's any other questions. All right, so Chase, Chris, I just opened 36 packs of Pokemon cards on my channel. Can you guess how much money I made? Well, Chase, are they Series 1 Pokemon cards? Because if they're Series 1, then you probably spent tens of thousands of dollars to get those packs. And you probably made lots of money. Yeah, I buy and sell all kinds of stuff, so I'm pretty up on that kind of thing. But I'm great. I'm happy if you did make money, and I'm proud of you, and it's good to see you. So that's going to wrap it up for tonight. This was Local SEO Consulting. My name is Chris Palmer. If you have any future questions related to local SEO, local SEO consulting, digital marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, really anything at all, feel free, go ahead and ask in the comments below. And I always look forward to seeing you in the next Local SEO Consulting video. Have a wonderful night. Many blessings, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I'll see you in the next one. All right, guys and gals. Goodbye, Kelly, Course Online, Victor, Shazan, Jake, Big Card, Suzanne, Chase. They're new ones. I only made up to $50 and spent $1.64. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. That's the game we play. I'm a comic guy, but it's been a pleasure. I need to go to bed. I have multiple clients in the morning. I love you all so much. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. I hope these tips were helpful too. See ya.